We're back at Box Park, Croydon for the Fight Night Daily podcast, and it's the press conference, and I am joined by freeweight world champion and local guy, Mr. Duke McKenzie.
Thanks, Spence.
A Duke.
Yes.
Duke. Right, I've just caught this tracksuit in my eye. I've just caught a tracksuit in my eye, mate. You're a local guy, and we're going to get into what it's like to box in the area, football stadiums, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, you've been there, seen it, done it.
Love it.
But Mr. Richard Riakporhe's joined us straight away, mate. So I've got to come in there.
Beautiful.
Richard, how are you feeling?
Very good, man. How you doing? Good?
I feel a little bit intimidated the way he just looked at me then, mate.
He's on edge, Spenny. This
He's
kid's
wired and
look,
ready to go.
I'm in fight mode, isn't it? It's different energy. It's different energy right now.
I can tell you, listen, let's talk about the fight. Look, 2019, go back then. You're both different fighters from there. You won on a split decision. Great fight, but I'm expecting a totally different one this time, Richard. What about yourself?
Yeah, I am as well. But I think that's a good basis, though, to measure how the fight could go. If he's improved and I've improved, then it should go similar, you know? Maybe because I can punch. Maybe because I've seen a little deterioration. People should say, you know what, Riakporhe, I've seen Riakporhe knocking him out. So,
Richard, are you relying on your punch power to sway this in your favour? Because you can box. We've seen that in the first fight. You know you can box. Will you rely on your boxing ability or your punch power?
to be fair, when we was in camp, we never rely on that. In fact, we never rely on punch power.
Good.
You know, we train like we don't have no power.
Yeah, perfect answer.
Listen, we were talking about home advantage here, Selhurst Park, you know, a club that you followed for many, many years. We know you're close to that. How important was it to get a world title shot there at Selhurst Park, and how instrumental is that going to be in playing a part in victory in this fight?
I wouldn't say it was important, but it's amazing to be a part of this type of historical moment. But in my mind, I knew, because I was a threat, because I was a dangerous fighter, not any champion would just be willing to take on Riakporhe. So we were willing to go abroad and do it the hard way, do it on the road. But funnily enough, everything just fell into place. And you know, it's part of my affirmations. Every day in every way, things are getting better and better for me. All the best stuff is coming to me. So
what you're saying is, obviously this is just falling into your lap.
Yeah.
And it's time for you to shine and rise to the occasion.
Literally.
Some people might think that you might shrink under the pressure because it's in your backyard, but what you're actually saying is you take that as an extra round. Being in your backyard, this is like having an extra round to going into this fight.
Yeah, 100%. You know, when you have your own people supporting you, cheering you on, people that grew up with you, I've got a couple of my boys here as well. We know the struggle, you know what I'm saying? We know how much we had to fight just to get here, just to get an interview on talkSPORT.
So you're talking to an expert, mate. I've been you, I know exactly what that is. My biggest dream would be, I would love to box in a stadium, but I was never a stadium fighter. You clearly are. So this is the transitional period in boxing now, is that fighters like yourself get put on a platform like this and are stadium fighters. You're headlining. How significant is that for you?
Listen, it couldn't have happened if it wasn't for Crystal Palace. Thank you, Crystal Palace, for investing in Richard Riakporhe, because this is the reason why this thing is happening. A lot of fighters do not get the opportunity to box in stadiums, let alone box on these televised cards. That's the honest truth, and they won't. People could say it's due to various reasons, but look, I'm grateful for my opportunity, and I'm here for a reason.
Richard, you know what? We know this is an ultimate gladiatorial sport, man. You guys leave it all on the line. Me and Duke have done that. That career's gone, and you look back on it, Duke, and go, how did I ever do that? You know, when we see you performing now at this highest level and all that. But there's been a lot of respect between you two. Is that because of that first fight and what you both put into that first fight? You see there, and you both know what you're going into, is what I'm trying to say. There's no need for trash talk here. Yeah,
it's not. To be fair, it all depends on the opponent and what they're coming with. If they're coming with trash talk, then we can easily match that. But, you know, there's no need, you know.
Yeah, you can switch up your game, right?
There's no need. Like, we know what Chris is about. Yeah. He can be a bit boring, though. Yeah. But, you know what, we know what he's about. He's a gentleman, and he conducts himself pretty cool. So do I, you know what I mean? And when you get two decent guys that, you know, talk with respect, don't slander each other, none of the swearing stuff, so youth can watch this. It's kind of nice, and when you get a good fight at the same time, you know, I feel like the British boxing public, they respect that, they like that. They don't like the people that talk trash and too flamboyant, No, it's not about that. So
you have to back that up
we don't
as
need
well.
to do too much, man. We just be natural.
Richard, I want to talk quickly before we let you go about, you know, what you've done for the local community. You're a great advert for turning your life around. You know, we all know the troubles that you had when you was a young kid, getting stabbed, nearly losing your life, but then, you know, turning that negative into a positive, finding boxing, and you support the local communities and try and direct the kids in the right direction and that as well. And that must be so important for what you're trying to achieve, not just to become world champion, do it in your hometown and showing the kids, listen, this is what you do. Put the guns down, put the knives down, and this is what you can do with your life. You're the best advert for that.
Yeah, absolutely, and it just stumbled across me. It stumbled upon me because, you know, I never really told my story, but when I did tell it, people were fascinated. You know, it was a norm for us growing up in South London, but when people hear it, it sounds like a movie. But yeah, this was actually our lives, and for us to be on a stage like this, it does give hope to a lot of people. And I've become a reference, and I'm really happy. I'm really happy to be, you know, to be viewed as a role model now. You know, and it's not even like a force. I don't have to act for you. You know, it's actually who I am. You know, we come from a real struggle, and it's changed us and developed our characters in a different way, which is the reason why I am the way I am.
Fantastic.
Brilliant. Listen, Richard, before you go, mate, it's a silly question, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Give us a prediction. How does the fight go? I know you're going to say you're going to win. How are you going to win?
I'm going to knock him out. I've seen gaps in his performances. I've seen gaps in him and his style, and I feel like he's perfect for me. Perfect.
Do you know what? I feel very safe in South London right now because I've got the Godfather there, the freeweight world champion Duke McKenzie, and you standing there as well. You know, yeah, brilliant. Listen, thank you so much, mate, for your time, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the weigh-in. Well done, Richard. God bless, mate.
Lovely tracksuit.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Brilliant.
Mate.
Brilliant. And listen, talking about tracksuits, did you get on that tracksuit?
Get
I couldn't rock that. Duke McKenzie, he can rock that. You've had your eye on that tracksuit, didn't you?
I'd have it off his back if I could.
I reckon you'd have to stick that in a tumble dryer for a little while, though, that one, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, listen.
Down a little
but
bit.
look, it's interesting.
Get a pair of high heels.
Don't talk about that. It's another conversation. Yeah, listen, I've got to say, he's oozing confidence, right?
He's so classy, he's so calm, he's so measured. Anything he said in this interview, Spencer, wasn't rushed. This is how you know he's calm. There's an inner belief there, there's an inner confidence there, which he's so confident about winning this fight. I'm really looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be very, very special.
Duke, you've been there. You've been the challenger for the world title. You know the pressures that are on his shoulders. You know, with what he's trying to achieve, with the struggles and you know, what he's trying to do for the community. What did you read into his body language, you know, from with all that pressure on his shoulders?
Yeah, I think his body language was absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
Listen, like you say, we know he struggles, but you can put all that to one side. It's about rising and shining now to the occasion. This isn't just isn't a fight. It's an occasion. This is a stadium fight. I really think we're going to get a classic fight on this one, Spence. I really do.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Let's go down the card as well. There's one fight that we got to talk about up there. We had Jack Massey there, Isaac Chamberlain. They're fighting for the vacant Cruiserweight EBU title, another title that actually we both had that one, and that's a tough title to win. A great fight though, Duke.
Well, listen, the European title back in the day used to be a very prestigious championship to win.
Well, listen,
it was like the stepping stones to the world title, right?
Absolutely. Look, before we get this move back to the main event, Chris Billam-Smith's just come in to join us. Chris, the gentleman, you're rocking another good suit, mate.
Yeah. I don't get to wear suits very often. You know, in training, you got to wear all the horrible gear and sweat out in that, so you've got to make the most of the opportunity.
Duke, look at that.
Listen, I would have worn a suit, but I'd have been upstaged, obviously, because he personifies class.
Absolutely. Look, we've been talking about the fight, breaking down the fight. You credit where credit's due, right, mate? You're the champion. We've seen the home advantage you've got, so you can always have that. You know, you can always have those fights in Bournemouth because of the backing that you've got. That will always drive, you know, promoters to go there and whatnot. You've come into Richard Riakporhe's backyard. That takes a lot, mate. Shows a lot of character from a fighter like yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always been that fighter. You know, I've boxed him last time on his managers at the time. He was with Billiam at the time and on his undercard. So it's how I've always been. After that, I went to Liverpool and fought Craig Glover, who's a Liverpudlian. So for me, it's what being a fighter is about, a proper fighter, and taking those opportunities, not ducking anyone. And I think I've shown that through my career.
So do you see being away from home as less of an advantage, or being fighting in front of your own hometown as an advantage?
It depends on the occasion. This time round, I feel like, to be honest, I got a bit too comfortable back home. Everything was headlining 4 shows back to back, and very familiar, and it just feels like another day at the office, and the whole show's built around you. But now this time it's like a siege mentality where you're coming in, you feel like you're the underdog, and you get to come in and really puts a rod up your back.
Your heart's not sort of what is in question in this fight, because we know you've got a heart as big as a bucket. What have you changed on a personal level going into this fight from the first time that you fought him? I know you're champion now, but what do you feel has changed in your overall makeup?
I mean, there's the belief and the belief in all the work that I was putting in before it come to fruition in all the fights and experience I've had since the first fight. They've been mentally challenging, a lot of those fights, because of a lot of them were 50-50s. The Craig Glover one was a 50-50, the Isaac Chamberlain, Tommy McCarthy, big domestic fights. So what I've always loved as a fan, and now I've got to experience so many as a fighter, and there's a big domestic fight like this, it gives you so much. But all those experiences are key to going into this fight.
Do you feel that, obviously, we know that he's got a big right hand, right? You felt that in the first fight. How do you get out of the way of that particular shot going into this fight? Because you know that's coming.
Yeah, I mean...
is there going to be more head movement from you? Is there going to be more lateral movement from you?
I think so. I think there'll be more head movement. My feet were too erratic in the first fight. All my defence was my feet. But yeah, I think there'll be more head movement. I think I've shown that since the first fight anyway. But also, yeah, I think the biggest factor of this fight is going to be the realisation when I land a shot. It was the same with Lawrence. Lawrence didn't really think I could punch. Obviously knocked him down 3 times, and I think it's going to be exactly the same this time.
You got a history, Chris, of sort of feeding off the pressure and being the underdog, and that's what champions do. You talk about that with Lawrence Okoli, even though it was in your own backyard. Lawrence Okoli was the slight favourite going into that one. You've had a good defence, now you're going into your second defence against Richard Riakporhe, coming into his backyard, and probably he starts a slight favourite going into this one, well, with the bookies anyway, he starts a slight favourite going into this one, and that sort of feeds you as a fighter, doesn't it?
Absolutely, like I said, all the talk is about Richard's power and this, that, and the other, and that's what I love, because no one's talking about my power, no one's talking about my boxing ability and all that. It's just people just look at the results and think, oh, I've won a world title, but that's great, because then on the night, like I said, it'll be a massive shock.
Listen, a happy fighter is a dangerous fighter, and you've had a smile on his face, ain't he, through this whole interview, mate? Look, we asked.
He's got on.
Absolutely, I'll be smiling and all, wouldn't you? Listen, I've got to ask you, prediction, silly question. I know you're going to say you're going to win, but how are you going to do it?
I genuinely think, I think that shock factor will come into play, and it'll be a realisation, and I'll get rid of him inside the distance.
Well, you're both going inside the distance, so one thing we can guarantee, Duke, is fireworks come Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're both big punches, they're both extremely fit. I believe it comes down to who's made the biggest adjustment, the quickest adjustment, who adjusts quickly on the night.
Brilliant. Listen, Chris, thank you so much, mate. And yeah, I love that suit, man. Rocking that, mate.
Cheers.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much, Chris. Best of luck. Yeah. There you go, Chris Billam-Smith, and both guys predicting the knockout win.
Cool.
Well,
it's going to be great, Spence.
I'm looking forward to it, mate.
Great.
Look,
it's going to be like me and you, mate, going back to back.
Oh, mate, could you imagine? Like back in that, we nearly done that, didn't we?
We
like,
nearly done it.
Yeah, right, listen, I want to talk a little bit just about the undercard there, because I was going to touch on it before. Jack Massey, Isaac Chamberlain, both guys.
Fight of the night.
There you go. I'm with you.
Fight of the night. That one could be absolutely fight of the night, because their styles don't clash.
Yeah.
They're actually tailor-made for one another.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one, as you say. Like, that was the one where you go, they are both proven, and it is about opportunity. Vacant European, the winner will be looking to get this world title shot with the winner of this one. So yeah, a lot on the line for Jack Massey and Isaac Chamberlain, and we've got to touch on Ben Whittaker. You said something very, very key to me, which I haven't heard many people say, where I go, when people talk about him being flash and disrespectful, and then they go, that's all about getting into the opponent's mind. And the Duke, you said something that was, for me, a pleasure to hear when you went, we've just got to sit back and enjoy it. When you get someone as good as he is, like a young Naseem Hamed, you go, sit back and enjoy the ride.
When was the last time you saw somebody with that kind of confidence, that flamboyance that he has, and he can obviously punch? When have we last time we seen somebody with that kind of ability, saying what he says he's going to do and then backing it up? We don't see that every day of the week, Spence. We should sit back and enjoy this kid while he's here, while he's unbeaten. If this guy was in America, he would be a superstar, an absolute superstar.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we were sort of speaking to him earlier, weren't we? And we were talking about that. And he said actually his fan base, he's got a bigger fan base in America than he has here because of the acceptance side of things. People just really not accepted his style. But I'm like, listen, sit back, enjoy the ride, because this kid is the next boxing superstar. That's where I'm at with it as well.
He could be really, really special. Because another thing about him, Spence, he doesn't believe the hype. He gets in there, he goes about his work, he does exactly what he says he's going to do and looks great doing it.
Yeah, listen, Duke, I'm going to have to ask you, mate. Give us a prediction, man. We're going to go ahead at the top of the bill now. We're running out of time here, so give us a prediction. Who wins the main event? Richard Riakporhe, Chris Billam-Smith?
I'd have to go with Riakporhe. I think he's the guy that's would have made the necessary adjustments to win this fight. I know Chris Billam-Smith is a good fighter in his own right, he's world champion and all the rest of it. However, I don't know if he can adapt, Spencer. When he gets hit, he'll revert back to type. He likes to get involved. He walks in. He takes far too many shots for my liking. You know, it'll take 3 or 4 to land one. He's not going to knock Riakporhe out with one shot. And I know he likes to work really, really hard. But however, Riakporhe, I believe he's made some fundamental changes in his makeup.
And we're now being joined by promoter Ben Shalom. Ben, press conference done. What did you take from any of that?
Look, I know them both well. I knew it wasn't going to be fireworks. There's a lot of respect there, but there's a rivalry and arrogance about both of them that they're better than the other fighter, and I can feel that. I think Chris looks at Richard almost like, you don't know what's coming. You've not been here. You've not been at world level. Look at who you fought. Yes, you've got that defeat, that win over me, but he feels he's gone to another level. Whilst Richard's there licking his lips thinking Christmas has come early. This is the best world title opportunity he could ever have dreamt for in his career, and he's going to have to take it for both fans. I think it's going to be grueling. I think it's going to go into the later rounds. I think it's going to get stopped. I can't call it. 4 weeks ago I felt one fighter was going to win. Now I've gone the other way. I want both guys to win. They're great guys. It's life-changing on Saturday night.
Sure. Do you feel with Richard particularly, because he's got a big right hand, do you think that's the shot he's going to actually be looking for against Billam-Smith, or do you think Billam-Smith will be looking to get into the pocket, stay on top of him and push him back, because that's what he did in the first fight?
I think Chris is going to work on the inside and have to go straight through it and not be scared of getting hit. He can't be scared of getting hit, because we know Chris gets hit in his fights. He's going to have to be careful, but Richard won't like someone sticking it on him. He likes to keep you at distance. He likes to take his time. He likes to pick his shots. It's going to be grueling. I think you look at that first fight, it will be a bit more technical, but it's still going to be a war of attrition in there. And at the end of the day, it will come down to who wants it most. Chris has shown when it gets tough, he comes through. Richard showed that early on in his career that he has that dog in him as well. And I think that's what it will come down to. And that right hand is what you've got to be careful of. We know that. But Richard will feel that he's got other ways to win the fight as well. It's a fascinating fight. I can't call it. I hope the best man wins. I hope they both bring everything, so there's no regrets.
That's the beauty about this contest, is that we're all going to have an opinion. You know, we saw the last fight, how close that was. Both guys have gone on, they've improved, and no one really knows until that first bell rings. I want to talk to you about the fight ending up at Selhurst Park as opposed to back at the Vitality Stadium. How did that come about, with the champion actually choosing to challenge the challenger in his own backyard, which Duke would tell you is from this manor? It's like a Lions den.
Yeah, it is, but let's remember how Chris Billam-Smith won his world title in his home yard as a voluntary challenger against Lawrence Okoli. This is a mandatory fight. We looked at Bournemouth, they couldn't do it. We're then thinking, can this go in the O2? We're thinking, this is June, this needs to be outdoor, this is a celebration. We don't get many domestic world title fights. It made a lot of sense. Selhurst Park were desperate for Richard. Steve Parrish was desperate for Richard. It's something we talked about for a long time. And in the end, it's the obvious choice. There's a lot of Bournemouth fans coming up. South London, it's not a hard journey. I think it's going to be 50-50 in there by the time it finishes on Saturday, which will make for a great atmosphere. And I'm really delighted with the choice, because we see a lot of events in the same arenas in and around London. This is going to be different. The entertainment starts from 4:30. There's a fan zone that starts at 5 o'clock for the Spain-Croatia game. Then we're into a great card, a fantastic card to see Fran Hanisi opening the bill. Dan Aziz, I'm excited to see back. That cruiserweight European title for me is fight of the night. I don't care what anyone says. And then Ben Whittaker, who's looking to put on a huge statement. Watch out for his ring walk, because we might have seen some craziness up until now, but this is hurting the budget crazy. So it's going to be a great night, great celebration, early main event as well. And for anyone in London that wants to see what boxing's all about, Saturday night, come and see it at Crystal Palace.
Don't worry about the budget, mate. You got deep pockets in that very lovely suit. Look at that little bad boy. Yeah, just looking very sharp as always, mate.
It's a world title. We had to dress up. Makes a difference from the tracksuit that I'm usually wearing.
Absolutely. Listen, and thank you so much for your time, Ben, and well done, mate. You put on a wicked card, great undercard as well. Can't wait until Saturday night. Thanks, mate. Yeah, so we're now being joined by the G, Mr. Johnny Nelson.
You know what? It's nice. So on Saturday night, the boxing for the European title, my old title, I had it in 1990 and 1997. The WBO title, again, Chris Billam-Smith's first time to have the box outside of defend his title outside of his hometown, which is nice. Those home comforts are gone. It's an intriguing, exciting fight. Richard Riakporhe needs a career best performance. A career best performance. He's got to show he can go to the well and dig deep. Chris has proved that already. If he can do that, then I think Richard does him inside the distance. But that's the question. That's the only question mark I've got on Richard Riakporhe. Can he go to the well and come out with his belly full?
See why I called him the G, don't you? Like, they're all your old titles that are on the line here, man. That's that Duke.
That's quite an amazing feat. Does that turn the clock back for you a bit, Johnny, psychologically? Can you remember when you was doing this at this level, the European and for the World Championship?
Yeah, without a doubt, when Isaac Chamberlain was up there, I looked, I remember boxing Marcus Spott, Karlsruhe, Germany, in the Lions Den. I was there as the opponent, thinking they were going to turn over. And today, it's the hardest fight I've ever had in my career. I broke my rib in the third round. Knocked him out with 30 seconds to go of the last round, but I also knew, but that was my gateway to bigger and better things, because when you champion Europe, you know, now the world know who you are, and you don't think, you know, I did it the proper way, the traditional way, British, European, then went on to world. For Richard and Chris, I knew that this was it. This was my last attempt at the world title. I knew. If all the experience I've had, I deserved success. I'd lost, I'd drawn, I'd been vilified, I'd been ignored. So I knew how much was on the line. It meant everything to me. But when I won, I really and truly believed I was the best fighter in the world. Does Chris Billam-Smith believe he's the best fighter in the world? I don't think so, and that makes a big difference to you as a champion.
You know, we saw with their body language when we did the interview with them, you know, Riakporhe was just so confident, wasn't he, Spence? He just oozed class and confidence. I think Billam-Smith was just a little bit more edgy.
Yeah.
What are you reading into that?
That's what I'm saying. You've got to walk like a champion, talk like a champion, carry yourself like a champion. He's champion. He's the one that should be sat down on the throne thinking, this is what I can do, this is who I am. I've not got this title by luck. And you feel like you ooze that. Richard, even when we did the gloves are off, he had that smugness about to say, I've done you once, so I can say all the things about beating you because I've done it once, I've proved it. Whereas Chris needs to stamp his authority and say, yo, them days are done. 5 years on, look what I've accomplished. Look at the people I've boxed, and he needed to stamp his authority. I think he was more nervous, more tense than the two of them. And even if Richard's making eyes, oh yeah, I beat you once, it's no big, I'll do it again. He knows, he understands it's a tough ask. But I think how Chris carried himself, I wanted to see a man that believed he was the best fighter in the world, and I didn't.
Listen, pick of the undercard for us. We're talking about the European Cruiserweight title. You know, we've covered that, we've done that. But look, I want to talk about Ben Whittaker. The reason I want to talk about Ben Whittaker is because I say that he reminds me so much of Naseem Hamid, the way he carries himself, you know, that flamboyant look. He's a little bit cheeky, but he delivers in the ring. Duke come up with something perfect today. He said, you know what? And I'm in agreement with this. I went, you got to sit back and enjoy this ride. Accept that he's good instead of criticising the showboating and all that stuff, because you know, these fights don't come around very often, Johnny.
No, they don't. The journey is as important as the destination. And then remember all the stick Naz got. I remember all the naysayers. And all of a sudden I saw a nation change when he ended up in New York boxing Kevin Kelly, Madison Square Garden. I saw the nation change. Even the Americans saw, I love this boy. Now Ben Whittaker is a modern day version. I know Naz was on talkSPORT, and he couldn't give props to Ben because that's Naz. He can't give props to his own son, man, fighting because he's thinking there's only one of me. That's an arrogance. That's a different kind of stardust. Ben has that about him. And Benny's proven it all the way along. Even at this stage here, excuse my, I'm not going to sway, he's a bit upset that the fact that his opponent has managed to talk him way into this fight. He's going to damage him. He's going to absolutely damage him. He's going to damage him because he said this is never going to happen again. Whoever fights me needs to deserve the right to fight me. That's a fight that really believes in his ability, his skill, and he's arrogant enough to say it out publicly. Comes looking swagger, comes looking apart. But I'm telling you now, I think Saturday night is going to be an absolute slaughter from Ben Whittaker.
Whittaker can fight, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody's saying, he's got the swagger, he's got this, he's got that, ABCD. But every time he's boxed so far, he's delivered, Spenny. The light heavyweight division hasn't seen anything like this for many, many, many years. They probably never see this again.
Absolutely.
You know what? On his right, I saw Dan Aziz sat there. Dan's one of my favourite fighters out there, and I thought, I can see this happening down the line between you don't so, and I don't want to see it happening. I don't want to see it because I think Dan, he's the kind of guy that'll take my job. He's a nice, smart, intellectual young fellow. He's got everything going for him, but I thought I can see how this is playing out. Ben keeps going the way he's going. These two are going to cross paths, and I think Ben's style is far too fleety. It's too powerful, too elusive, too on it. But it's a fight that's going to happen.
Could that happen in the next 12 months, that fight?
Yeah. Trust me. And if it's not Ben's next fight after Saturday, it'll be the fight after. I can just see it being announced, seeing it going that way.
Brilliant. Johnny, as always, mate, listen, you are the G of this show, mate. You've held all the titles. Unbelievable, mate. Unbelievable. And by the way, before you go, you ain't looking for the winner of this one, are you? Hey, come on. Boy's in shape. Listen, guys, do us a big favour. Make sure you tune in to talkSPORT 2 from 7 p.m. for all the live action. Then we switch over to talkSPORT, the main channel, at 10 p.m. for the main event. From myself, Mr. Duke McKenzie, that is it here at Box Park, Croydon, Fight Night Daily, and we'll see you next time.